In a quiet, peaceful monastery, nestled between the hills of a faraway land, there lived an elderly monk named Master Ananda. He was known not only for his wisdom, but for the calm, patient kindness he showed to everyone. The monks in the monastery respected him deeply, and many young students came to learn from him, not just through words, but through the simple, thoughtful way he lived each day. One of those students was a young monk named Kai. Kai was new to the monastery and full of curiosity and dreams. He had a gentle spirit and found joy in reading sacred texts and sitting for long hours in meditation. He loved contemplating deep thoughts and felt drawn to the spiritual stillness of the monastic life. But there was one thing Kai didn't enjoy: chores. Whether it was sweeping the floor, tending the garden, or helping in the kitchen, he always found a reason to postpone. "I can do that later," he often told himself. "This moment is better spent in quiet reflection." One morning, just as the sun was rising and the garden was still covered in morning dew, Master Ananda called Kai to the edge of the monastery garden. There, he pointed to a small, empty patch of soil that was clean and ready for planting. "Kai," the master said softly, "this patch of earth is now your responsibility. Keep it clean and cared for. We will plant vegetables here in the coming season. But for now, your task is to keep the weeds away." Kai looked at the patch. It was so small and tidy. He smiled and nodded. "Of course, master. That will be easy." At first, Kai kept his promise. For the first couple of days, he glanced at the patch and was pleased to see it still looked clean. But on the third morning, when he walked by, he noticed 2 or 3 tiny green sprouts poking through the soil. "Ah, just little weeds," Kai thought. "They are harmless. I'll pull them tomorrow. Today is such a beautiful day. I think I'll meditate under the Bodhi tree instead." And so he did. He sat peacefully beneath the tree, listening to the wind, letting his thoughts drift like clouds across the sky. The weeds were forgotten. The next day, Kai meant to tend the patch, but he found himself caught up in a scroll of poetry that he had been meaning to read. "Tomorrow," he said again. The day after that, the sky looked cloudy. "It might rain," he reasoned. "Better not go to the garden now." And so it went. Every day, Kai had a new excuse. A week passed. One afternoon, on his way to the dining hall, Kai happened to glance at the garden patch. His heart sank. The tiny weeds were no longer tiny. The patch was now full of tall, tangled weeds, their roots digging deep into the soil, their stalks thick and stubborn. It no longer looked like a peaceful space. It looked wild and overrun. Kai stared at the mess in disbelief. How had this happened so quickly? Just then, Master Ananda appeared beside him. The old monk said nothing for a moment, simply observing the patch with calm eyes. Then he pointed to one particularly large weed. "Kai," he said gently, "will you pull that weed out for me?" Kai stepped forward and took hold of the thick weed. He tugged. Nothing happened. He bent lower, gripped it with both hands, and pulled harder. The weed resisted. Its roots were strong and buried deep. Kai strained, his brow furrowed, his back aching, until finally, with a great effort, the weed came loose, leaving a wide hole in the earth. Kai stood up, breathing hard. Master Ananda placed a hand on his shoulder and spoke quietly. "When that weed first appeared a week ago, it was small. Do you remember?" Kai nodded, embarrassed. "Yes, Master, I saw it." "And if you had pulled it then?" "It would have taken just a second," Kai admitted. The old monk looked kindly into Kai's eyes. "Laziness, my student, is like a small weed. At first, it is nothing. A quick tug and it's gone. But if we say, I will do it tomorrow, it grows. Its roots go deep. Then, when we finally face it, it is no longer easy. It has become a burden that drains our strength and time. Kai listened, and this time, he truly heard. He looked down at the messy patch, the scattered roots, and the weeds he had ignored. He understood now. Putting off a small task might feel easier in the moment, but it only leads to harder work and greater trouble later. From that day on, Kai changed. Every morning, after his meditation, he visited the garden patch. If he saw even a tiny weed beginning to grow, he knelt and pulled it right away. It took only a few moments. His patch remained clean and healthy, ready for planting. More than that, Kai discovered a new kind of peace. It wasn't just the peace of stillness, but the peace that comes from having nothing hanging over you, no chores left undone, no small problems waiting to grow. He had learned a quiet truth, that doing small things now, with care and consistency, leads to a calm and balanced life.